Yes people, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you 3 easy VFX transitions you can add to any music video to spice it up. Number 1, a simple flash transition. It's such a small thing, but you'll find yourself using it a lot. I find myself using it a lot. So, here we have a simple hard cut, right? And you can see there's a big difference between these two scenes. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an adjustment layer with Control, Alt and Y. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go 3 frames back. So here, 1, 2, 3. Make a cut with Control Shift D. Go forward back to here and 3 frames forward. Control Shift D. Delete both of these sides, and now what I want you to do is I want you to add an effect. I have the search bar here, but you can go into the effects tab and you can add it yourself there. So what I want you to do is I want you to add brightness and contrast. Okay, so now you're going to have this come up here. Press these 2 little stopwatch icons and that's your keyframes. This video is targeted to people who already know the basics of After Effects. So if you don't know what keyframes are, let me know down below, then I could possibly make a video on it. So boom, I want you to add that there, then copy and paste it and add that to the end. So initially we have 2 zeros. Now in the middle, you're going to see we could just up this here. Okay, so that's the contrast up. Then I like to add the brightness. I like to add a decent bit of brightness, then lower the contrast a bit and boom. So we've got both values here, 0, 0, and in the middle you got whatever these are. So then, you see? So the main use for this flash transition, it's mainly for when you have a big difference in scenes. It helps smoothen out a little bit, if that makes sense. So here's before, right? And now here is after. Boom. Something so simple yet so effective. I'm going to add it to this one as well, because why not? Just simply drag it to the middle. And the good thing about doing it on adjustment layers is you don't have to worry about pre-composing these two and then doing it over that, because then you can just copy it to any scene you want. So easy but so effective. I love this transition. Boom, boom. See that? Boom, boom. So simple yet so effective. Okay, number 2, we're going to be looking at a fade to zoom transition. Now, this one is slightly more complicated than the flash, but not to worry, I'll walk you through all of it. So, let's have a look at these 2 scenes we've got here. So, we've got them driving in the orange cars. Yeah, say no more, it's looking good. Then, here, another hard cut, right? And you can see it's kind of zooming in and out like this. Boom. Now, what I've noticed in this scene is there's a lot of black in this scene. So I'm going to use that to my advantage. Now, as I mentioned before, you should already know the ins and outs of the basics of After Effects before coming onto this video. If you want me to make a tutorial on the basics, let me know in the comments. So cool. I want you to add a camera and make sure your layer is 3D. Then cut it to the second clip. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to fade this clip and then zoom out of this clip. It will make it look very smooth. Okay, so the next step. If you have a different color that you want to zoom out of, but you want to make it smooth, let's say you want to do red, then what I'd advise you to do is to go here, then create a new solid of that color, and then just do the exact same steps I'm about to do now. So what I'm going to do here is, since underneath I have nothing, it's going to be black. So I'm going to fade this to black. So I'm going to go opacity by pressing T, and then over here keyframe 100. Then just about the frame before I like to do it at 0. So now we just have a simple fade out. Looks alright, but we're not done there. I'm going to move it one more, just so it finishes a bit earlier. Alright, and now what I want you to do is I want you to go down to the camera bit, transform, then make a keyframe for point of interest and position. Now, I'm going to move this, let's say to near the end of the clip, because these 2 values you've set are the original. So it's not zoomed in, this is how the clip is. This is how it originally is. So now, we're going to go back to here. Then, let me just make this full screen real quick. Use this tool here. This is a dolly tool. So this allows you to zoom into wherever you'd like, right? And you can see the values changing in the bottom left of my screen here. So yeah, that's that. I'm just going to press Ctrl Z to get rid of all of this and go back to normal. Boom. Okay, so now, I just need to think of what's going to be dark enough, or at least what would I like to zoom out of. Now, I want to keep it more centerized, so I'm possibly going to zoom out of literally just a hat. It's something that simple. Now, you may notice it's not completely black, but that's not a problem. So let's just have a look at that real quick. Okay, so It's not looking very smooth right now, but don't worry about that. We'll get to that. But you can see the energy it kind of gives off and the way it moves with the camera. It makes it look very nice. And we're going to make that all more polished in a second. So it's going to fade to black, but we're going to fade ourselves. Go and press T when you selected this layer here. Opacity, zoom in a bit, and put it down to 0. Now, when we have a look here, you see? Now that's a lot smoother coming out of the hat. See? But we aren't done there yet. Don't hold me against that yet. So boom, here we are. A lot of these things, right? Motion blur is one of my favorite things to use. So make sure you enable motion blur. This is going to complete the entire thing. Now, we just save that. You could just leave it at that. You really could just leave it at that because it looks alright. It doesn't look awful, but one little trick that I like to do is highlight all of your camera keyframes and press F9. That allows this thing to do easy ease, okay? Easy ease just makes the overall movement a lot smoother. It goes in and out very smoothly. So if we have a look at that now, in my opinion, that's instantly better. Way better, right? But we're not done there. You see, now what you're going to do is just mimic what I'm doing here. So highlight these N2 here. Let me just do this up so you can see a bit better. Highlight these two here. And you see this little line here? I want you to drag that, not all the way, but just around there. So you kind of have a bit of a curve, but not too much of a curve. That's going to make sure it's a lot more speedy at the start. You get more motion blur. And at the same time, it makes it a lot more smoother. So let's have a look at this now. I can't lie, that's looking solid. So I'm going to leave it at that. So one thing I will say is be creative with what I'm showing you, because this simple zoom transition that I've showed you can be used in so many ways. If you guys would like me to cover more different zoom transitions, like for example, zooming out of someone's eye or zooming into someone's eye, there's so many possibilities you can do with this. So if you want me to make a video on that, let me know. Yo, like the video and make sure you subscribe as well. I'm going to be posting a lot on this channel, dropping a lot of source that not a lot of people want to give away in this industry. Okay, coming in at number 3, I'm going to show you lot the last one now. This is the freeze frame transition. So, I want you first to duplicate your clip with Control D. Now you have 2 versions of that same clip here. That's what we're going to transition into here. Notice how the character here, or the guy, is moving this way. Right, so I'm going to play into that myself. So here, make sure you're at the start of the clip, right click, go over to time, freeze frame. Now you have a solid layer of it all the same like this. Cut it just to where the video starts. So now you have a little freeze bit here and then it starts the video. Now what I want you to do is I want you to mask it out. So you can either do a mask or you can either do a roto brush. Completely up to you what you want to do, but for this, you know what, for the sake of this one, I'm just going to roto brush it. But you can also do a mask, so completely up to you. Go on to here, there. See how quickly it's done it for me? Boom. Okay, so now we've got that here, just neaten it up slightly. Doesn't have to be the neatest thing on earth, but it also, you'd want it to look a bit more polished. Okay, that's that. Then I want you to press this here, freeze. So the freeze, right, will stop it from rendering the same roto brush every couple seconds you go past it. It will save you a lot of time. So now you've just got a frozen thing here, as you can see. But you can see it's still got a bit of chatter. So chatter is basically when it's moving here and it's still kind of got a bit of movement, right? That's chatter. So what I want you to do is go back to the start and I want you to go onto time and I want you to freeze frame it again. So now we have a solid thing here. And you can see the edges are still a bit jagged. No worries. Go on to feather. Then just keep going onto that. So now we have a feather which makes it a lot smoother around the edges. So to me, that looks okay. But what's so smooth about that? Absolutely nothing, right? So let's go back on here. I want you to press P on this layer and keyframe that position. So that's where we want it to land, right on the end, okay? So go back to the start here of the clip that we're going to be transitioning from. And I want you to move it. So again, you can get as creative as you want with this. So for this one, because I've noticed he's moving in a certain direction, I'm going to play into that myself. So you see that? He's moving in. Okay. This is very beginner friendly, so make sure you use this. It's going to be quite good. Again, make sure you easy ease this. This is so good. Please don't underestimate it. Again, motion blur, bang. That instantly makes it better, every time. And again, be creative, be creative. I'm going to keep saying this because you see how slow he's moving here, or how slow the kind of the camera pan is. So what I want you to do now is, yeah, instead of just doing this and going all the way to like here, I want you to do it all the way, okay? Well, it's going to be very different for your clip, but I'm playing into how mine looks. You see, what this means is this is the speed, right? So it's going to start off slow, it's going to quickly go up, so it's going to quickly jump into the frame, right? And then it's going to slow down, it's going to keep slowing. So this part here is quite slow, so that makes it quite smooth into him, right? So have a look at this now. Instantly better. So let's have a look at all three now, yeah? Okay, so that was 3 easy transitions you can use to start off your music video career. I use these a lot in the beginning, and most of them I still use now, depending on the scenario. Okay, see you lot next time then.